Welcome to Built to Last, the podcast where entrepreneurs share real stories about the triumphs and challenges of building enduring success. Hosted by Colby and Levi Lawrence.
Hi everyone, really excited to be here for 2026. This is a new year for us, new seasons. Last year we started this podcast, it's called Built to Last, and it was around really just those complicated conversations around leaders and people who run companies and organizations and the things that they personally or professionally encountered that don't have easy answers. And we had wide-ranging conversations around immigration and offshoring and nearshoring, buying businesses, valuing business, had some interesting mental health, personal health, like all kinds. I think we really ran the gamut. This year we're doing the same thing, complicated conversations with people who just get it and there's no easy answers. But there's a bit of more of a theme. So we're gonna try to talk about the leaders and the organizations who are going through change. Because a lot of what we do is helping organizations manage change or go through change, the people, the teams. And we're not here to just talk about our services, but we wanted to, we realize that not a lot of that is getting talked about enough, and normalizing some of the challenges and failures and learnings along the way. And so our guest today, Affan, we actually had a matchmaker through a trade mission we had in the metropolis of Ottawa, Ontario, and he's not even there. But we made a great connection, and not only has Affan gone through a lot of change, but he's also, similar to us, helping a lot of companies who are at some point going through change in their organization, and we're going to get into it. And fun enough, Colby has never met him, and so we're going to have a live learning, relationship building conversation as we go. And really, I'm excited to see where the conversation goes. So, as usual, I don't like to read a bio, and I can see a bit about you on LinkedIn, and we've met a few times for sure. But Affan, maybe introduce yourselves if somebody had no idea who you were or what you do.
Right. So I think first and foremost, I'm a marketeer, I would say, and a builder. So I'll start from there. So I'm originally from Bangladesh. Right now, my main focus is my company. It's a digital agency called Notionhive. It's based in Bangladesh, and we have two arms of business. Our retail arm is where we typically work as an agency for Bangladesh and neighboring countries. We have customers for things like websites, SEO, digital marketing, videos, all of that. And then we have our wholesale business, which is white labeling for agencies or marketing agencies, digital agencies in North America. So when I had moved to North America, that was the path I chose. Instead of competing, I felt that collaborating with people who are already in the business, who already know the lay of the land is better. So I chose that path. So and roughly we are now half and half in terms of revenue. So half of the business comes from North America and the white label partnering outsourcing bit, and the half comes from the local retail business, as I call it. So, and apart from my business, I've always been a keen advisor, mentor to startup owners, small business owners in Bangladesh. And then when I moved to Canada in Ottawa, also I was part of Invest Ottawa as an advisor. So in the last 3.5 years, I've met about 250 small business owners who have just started the business or are very early stage. So I've seen that I tend to be able to help them better. Like I don't have a lot of mentees or people who are in the 10 million plus ranges. So it's mostly smaller businesses that I think I've seen feel better, and I guess they feel more comfortable with me. So yeah, I've been advising them also as a passion project, you could say.
So I hate that I'm going to ask this because it's the most annoying question that everybody gets asked. But why here? What brought you here originally? Like when you chose to leave, because I assume you started your business or you joined your business in Bangladesh. And was it just to find new markets of business? Was it a change of lifestyle? Like, what's the driver to change your whole ecosystem?
That, to be honest, was a personal call. It was more as a family unit, me and my wife. We decided to migrate uh, for her education, for us as a unit, for my business. It was kind of everything involved. It was not really for one thing. That, okay, just for business, getting new markets. But then that personal decision kind of helped professional ones as well. So we felt that yes, there are interesting things that's happening here in North America, and we have been early in our life exposed to some of these opportunities in North America. I've been here, especially in the US. I came in 2017 as a US State Department alum. I was here for 5 weeks as an entrepreneur exchange program. So I kind of saw how US operates, in terms of business. And my wife, when she was in school in the undergrads, came here as a student for 6 weeks, and she also did like 6 months of her MBA as an exchange program in Irvine, California. So we kind of knew or were exposed to lifestyle here, and we felt that that would be interesting for us. So,
You guys have that in common with Colby. Colby followed a young lady to a different country for educational purposes. Chose not to stay though long term.
For her, not for me. The education.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with them. Yeah.
Yeah. She was getting her. She's a veterinary doctor now, and followed her to South Africa for 3 years, and yeah, it's a big eye opener for sure. I don't know what I'm going to do with that connection at some stage, but it's there for sure.
of course.
Yeah. I'd love to, like, from you. You've now lived in the U.S. You've lived in Canada. You've done business in there as well as in Bangladesh. What are some of the differences in the business culture?
I think all three countries. I'll not use the word region because it's different in terms of region, because even in Asia there is different cultures.
Yeah.
To be honest, like the Chinese, Japanese region, and then the India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. These are all also similar regions. So if I use the word Asia, it becomes kind of I think regional. So just in terms of three countries, I think very different. I would say US is very straightforward, but there is attention to detail, and the sales cycles can be quicker. I mean, you'll hear a yes or no very quickly. I mean, they generally decide longer. In Canada, I think one of I would say not an issue, but the thing I faced for a long time was that the risk-taking ability or interest was a little bit lower. I would say an average Canadian business tends to be less of a risk taker. And so that kind of trickles down to sales cycles, commitments, and everything. They enjoy the lifestyle more, I think. Relaxing life. And I love that. Personally, me speaking, I've actually always demoted myself in terms of population. So I was in a city of 25 million. Then I went to a city. We were in Singapore for a few years. That was 4.5 million. Then Ottawa, 1.1 million, and now 40,000. So you can see, all my life I've moved to cities which are where. So I love that about Canada. It's just a different way of looking at things, right? So Canadians enjoy the wilderness. They enjoy their life. It's not about always. The capitalistic mentality is not necessarily there directly. They understand they have to do things, and so they do things, but the pace is a bit different, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't want to put Canada and US in a bucket called North America. I think they're different in that perspective.
Yeah,
In
we would
Bangladesh,
agree with that, by the way, everything you said, yes.
in Bangladesh, I think it depends on a lot of things. I mean, Bangladesh does not enjoy, I think, the political stability that Canada and the US has over the years. So there has been some ups and downs. So that has sometimes affect how businesses run. But generally, I think business in Bangladesh is more about relationships. Very rarely you will see people who don't know each other doing business. So there, if you have a very good network, and especially your personal network can really go a long way, right? Also, in terms of just culturally, we are not as attentive to detail like North Americans. There, I'll put a bucket where I think North Americans, because of the lifestyle, you have to plan everything. If you don't plan tomorrow, you don't have lunch. Simple as that. You don't have breakfast tomorrow if you haven't planned ahead. So in Bangladesh, because of families, the way they're structured and everything, there are backups, if I may use the word. So you don't have to always plan everything to very minute details. And so that trickles down to professionalisms also. So like I would see a customer in Bangladesh might actually say, oh wow, great website, done, happy because of that brotherly relationship or a friendly relationship. But you go to the About Us page and you'll see there is still lorem ipsum, there because maybe someone just didn't update that or the customer didn't give that and we also accepted it. Customer is also happy. My website is live, but then one paragraph is still lorem ipsum. That will never happen in North America, right? So, you just say, hey, my website is not finished. There is some change.
I've seen some client websites that have lorem ipsum on them.
But I'm just,
Yeah,
so I think relationships are
yeah,
paramount. It's not that in North America networking doesn't work. Like even we're here today because of networking. I knew
yeah.
someone who knew you, but I'm saying that it works more on a personal level also, like between relatives, friends. It's very strong, So you can literally go and ask a friend, hey, can I do this for you? And they might say yes, based on just that relationship. So it's not always a business decision based on who's the lowest, the best quality, those kind of things. It's more like, okay, I know him, I trust him more, I'll go with him. Yeah.
So when you first started doing business here on this side of the world, how did you go about building those? Because I agree. I've lived in a few countries, and really it matters, even if it's not as relationship driven. Like knowing people matters, and building those networks and building those relationships. And I feel like my first career was all in hospitality and hotels and food and beverage, and that's a very easy to network and build connection space. But you're a little bit more behind the scenes in the work you do. So how did you build those relationships when you first
Yeah.
came?
So of course it was difficult, and also like I said, because coming from a country where it's all about relationships and on a personal level, and so there I didn't necessarily have a lot of people I knew from before, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that needed to an extent that needed building connection. So what I did was I was actually quite active. This is something I did. I don't know if it's different from others, but a lot of people talk about being focused on networking, but I just didn't say it. I did it. So even I think my first networking meeting was third day I was in Canada, and I had booked it from Bangladesh. I went into Meetup. I didn't have any clue about events.com, Meetup, or anything. I was just Googling and I found Meetup. I didn't even know Meetup existed. Then I went into the city. I found interesting networking event. I just booked myself and I went in. I think the third day I was in Ottawa. And I actually met um, Bernie there. So
Mm.
what happened is my very first early networking connections became very good friends. So some of my closest friends in Ottawa are from those events, early events, and I stayed in touch with them, and they were very kind also, and so that grew. And what I saw mostly, my learning, at least in Canada, is that your first level connections tend to be friends more and not business associates. What I mean by that is you don't necessarily get business from them, but they're the ones who turn your ambassadors and then go and look into others. Plus, I think I did another thing is because our networking style was very different in Bangladesh. Like I said, it was all about let's go and have tea, coffee. People are just friends. Five friends are just in a cafe somewhere, and they're not talking about business. But then from there, they're talking about all sorts of shit things. But then suddenly I just look at someone and say, "Hey, I thought you were asking for a website design. Can I send my sales head to you?" And he said, "Sure." You know, business done. So Canada was different. So I knew I had to learn the language of networking. So I want to remember someone, a dear friend who has passed away, unfortunately, last year. He called himself the networking guru, Michael J. Hughes. He knew a lot of people, almost 7,000 followers, and he was the one who had taught me also. I had met him multiple times. He was very gracious and kind, and so I used to follow him. He had a monthly newsletter, and I learned a lot of things from him, to be honest. Simple things, but very important things. Like, for example, he always had this, he broke networking into time streams. Like, after how many minutes you should do this, after how many days you should do this. And I couldn't follow it like to the T, but I tried to. Like, like even the first day or the very next day, try to send a note out saying, hey, it was great meeting with you, and this is what we discussed. Those kind of things was very important, and I learned a lot from him. So when I say I actually tried and invested in networking, this is where I invested like time with also learning from the experts. It was not just I just went into 10 random events. I tried to also find people who knew networking and then learn from them, basically.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's half validating. Like I find, so we're both on the East Coast, which is a fairly rural mentality, and networking I find is a little bit more, you know, let's have a drink or a coffee and talk about things and maybe throw some business in later. Um, and the message I keep receiving is that we need to be more sales focused. We're too polite, we're too nice, we don't get to the point. Um, yeah, but I like the between the two of having a bit of a plan because yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really like transactional networking. Like
And that's fine,
the short
right?
term purpose is the reason for
Right.
networking, but also I need to make sales. So it's like both things are true.
So if you see, I did the hybrid. I
Yeah.
intentionally made sure that the friends I made were organic friends, like, people who became friends because I invested time with them and I made that effort to become friends, and they were also kind enough to be friends. And so at a time, I didn't ask for anything. It was very organic. They just, hey, Afan, what do you need? Can I help you with this? That became more of an organic conversation. And, and another thing I did, again, this is nothing new, is that I felt from personal experience. In Bangladesh, I used to be the connector. You know, I have done, I would say, millions of dollars of business where I was the connection. I took not a penny from anyone. Just I just connected people. And so at some point, I felt that maybe my connections could have done a better job of making sure that my time and investment was also, like, so that was my learning. I was not upset about it, but it was an insight I got in my mind. So when I landed in Canada, from the very beginning, when the conversation came to a point where it was comfortable to talk about this, I made sure with some of my contacts, finder fees were not a taboo to discuss. It's very important. And what I did is instead of making this like a affiliate system or something, I kept it very personal, where I would actually maintain information with them in some sort of a collaborative way, where they'll have full transparency of who I'm meeting, and then what has happened after that. And I started making actual payments to people. And I can give you a figure also. Back in 2024, just 1 year, I'll just give one figure. I think we paid out about $30,000 Canadian just as finder's fees to people. And not just one individual, multiple individuals. So I think what happened was, and this is the change I saw, is that people never asked money for me or anything like that. But when they saw that I was respecting their time and effort, without even me telling them, they went ahead and, did this more for me. And so again, I've seen people struggle with this. Like, when should I broach this subject? Or if I make it like, because of the Canadian culture, like early in the meeting, like first meeting, if you're talking about finder's fees, that's a very wrong policy. I think, you will get snuffed. Like, people will be very upset. They'll be very awkward with you. So it's like I said, as you grow and maintain it to a level, and if you see there is some opportunity, that's what I try to do. So.
It's fascinating that to hear you speak about this from like, you know, from when you moved over and like kind of your plan to attack this and hearing your perspective on the Canadian market. You're just validating our feelings a lot but also like you're inspiring to like create a bit more of a system around that because I think for finder's fees, we don't do it very often. We talk about it, but like, I think there's probably like a more intentional step in that direction that gets people excited.
I think if we had a shorter sales cycle, like we were just at a big workshop and like business to business sales right now, the stats have moved it up to like 30 to 60 touch points before you like can close a sale, and that's when there's an opportunity involved, not just a build relationship. And the finder fee, once in a while it's very clear, like thank you for that introduction to turn into business, but I can only bring it up on 3 or 4 times that I can really. Normally it's just there's so many interconnected steps and associations that it's hard to do that. But I like do you actually wait until it's converted and you're doing work and have been paid bills before you do a finder fee, or you just?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I always tell people that immediately when I get paid, my portion, like, maybe like for example, in projects, larger projects, there are multiple milestone of payments, right? So I will also pay multiple times. And what I do is I don't do one time. That's the trick. I do as long as, or I've told them that for the first 2 years I'll pay you.
Yeah.
So when the same client gives me multiple business, they get finder's fee multiple times also, which also again piques their interest because they see that I come and tell them, hey, because most cases, affiliate works differently. You have links and all. Mostly it's software projects or digital products, so that's different. Like, someone selling a course, you have a link, you're trying to promote that link, and then. But here, there's no way to track. Let's say you are introducing me to Colby today. So you don't know how many times Colby and I have met, how much business we have exchanged hands. So when I take that, like I said, I took that proactive step of letting them know. And I think it was just not getting paid. It was that respect that I'd shown of
Mm.
coming back and saying,
Acknowledging the
yes,
act that happened. Yeah.
correct. And just saying, hey, thank you. It didn't result in business, but really good meeting that person. So it was a full package. Money
Yeah.
helps, but it was rather that Afan remembered to tell me, whereas
Yeah.
others are not perhaps doing that, is what perhaps made some people,
I could do a
make
better
it.
job of that acknowledging the connector piece
Yeah,
versus just taking
same.
it on. 'Cause sometimes when you're busy, it almost feels like a burden. It's like, yes, yes, I'll take that connection, but then you never know where it's going to turn into.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like, I mean, it's not related, but it feels the same to me as like the bringing back the thank you card of just like taking those
100%.
little extra steps.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a sales consultant once in 2024 in Ottawa, and she had a lot of experience. And she was basically we were using the same co-working space, so she was being very kind, and we used to work for large Canadian companies like Rogers and all. So I was not even close to her target audience, right? So she was
Yeah.
just being nice to a neighbor, kind of. So she helped me for a few months. One of the ideas she gave was very interesting. Not that I've really put it into use, but I want to, is that because of the digital world now, people have really forgotten about handwritten notes, right?
Yeah.
So if you make that effort, even if it's like that 10 top ideal customers or whatever, or the people who are really important for you in business world, just a handwritten note to end the year or something. I
Nice.
really like that idea and I want to implement it. It's been my failure that I didn't, but yeah, I want to do it.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I see things scroll. I'm not active in posting everything on social, so I sometimes see like milestones or things that happen that I know, like somebody got sold their company, and I know some of the backstories of this 20-year overnight success, and just taking the time. But posting is like cool, great job on socials feels too shallow. Um, yeah, that's a good takeaway. Never know what that will get to.
Question about so you've moved quite a few times, and you mentioned what you did when you moved to Ottawa. So now you're in Iowa.
That's correct.
So how have you been approaching that? Because that's a relatively fresh thing,
Yeah,
if I remember.
right. So here I took the sports route.
Oh, tell me
Pickleball
more.
is pickleball is very popular in North America now, and US especially. It's booming. So I had started playing pickleball in Ottawa. So, and I used to play cricket also, which is not played here much. I mean, it's
No.
not very popular, at least not in these cities or this state much. So, for me, just not professionally, also personally, also getting to know more people is through pickleball. So, I've been trying. I think I was here from fall, so I started going and meeting people. And like I said, I'm still building that first level. These are friends. They'll never give me business. I'll never want business from them. But then hopefully they will be able to connect me to the
And
next.
it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's a really like
It's a
I got,
season of giving and generosity and gratitude before,
but
you know,
Yeah,
even
like a,
just like that pressure of like if you ease off that pressure of like okay, like these are some of my first connections, I have to make some of this work. It's like putting that aside and just saying I'm going to get to know these people, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to build a great relationship with people that I want to hang out with and their networks. On top of that, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot
because
of sense.
when you had, like you said, when you take that pressure out, it's just not pressure out for them. It's easy for you also. So anything you say will not look and feel salesy. It will feel authentic because you are genuinely you don't have that intention. You don't want to make money out of these people or with these people. You just want to make relationships, true relationships. You're helping them, they're helping you. You're trying to understand who they are. It's not a business discovery call. It's really like let me have these friends, and then like I said, a lot of it becomes organic. You know, so
so at the risk of asking a hard question, and maybe you don't have these problems, and if you don't have these problems, I'm great for you.
sure,
But a lot of people I know in similar industries, every once in a while, my pipeline isn't as robust as I would like it to be, or I'm coming into a slow quarter, or whatever happened, I have a cash flow problem coming up, and suddenly partners or staff, and we're like, let's call our connections, let's pull in what we can, let's fill the pipeline, whatever the jargon of the day is. That's where things start to feel where this, because I would love to do it the way you're doing it, but I'm always feeling more accountable to the business side. Like it's not even me. It's like I'm feeling like I'm letting my team down by not seeing an ROI. And I bring jargon in when I get uncomfortable with this stuff. I'd love
sure.
to be just a connector, but I also I have people with families that we're covering. So like, if you ever like, how does your company? You don't have to get into specifics, but what happens when you need to fill the pipeline or find business in short order?
Yeah. So again, I think I'm very lucky in this sense that I have the diversity or the risk diversification of two regions.
Yeah.
So rarely both regions become bad at the same time, but it has happened. It's not like in the last 5 6 years it has not happened. So so that's one way to solve it. It's like let's say Bangladesh is having some financial problems or industry issues,
Mm-hmm.
pipeline is dry, then we try to focus on our international business and vice versa. So that's easy hack. The other one, but that's not true for everyone. Like for example, a small business, or a medium business which is focused completely on the US or Canada. So I think there what we have done is, and I'll just cite a number that will be helpful. So HubSpot, as you know, does these researches, right? And so they did a sales research last year also. And they say that out of a few thousand people they've interviewed, 70% of your sales comes from old customers.
Yeah.
Only 22 comes from new customers. And new customers are always very difficult to, acquire.
Yeah.
For any industry, it's always difficult. So what we have tried is to keep going back to old customers, even if there were negative experiences. We have tried to, bring that list, just basics, like just knowing, okay, if this person has been my customer once, can we sell them something else? Maybe it was a website we have built, and they don't need a website, but every website needs SEO. Can we have that conversation? Like right now, I can tell you that we do a yearly like a gift, or just some token for our customers, or our current customers and our past customers. So let's say this year it's a notebook, our branded notebook. So our sales team is actually visiting. We made that list of customers that has worked with us in the last 3 years in Bangladesh. They're now calling up, getting into meetings, which and the intent is very clear, just to give the gift and just to say hi. But then that from there, like in the last 1 week, I think we've got two requirements for an estimate. I don't know if they'll convert, but that's the that's what I do when things dry up,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
We do that, yeah, and we've been doing some of that for sure. Anyway, it's interesting. I like the personalization and the examples, like the.
Also, talk me through a client that has had a negative experience.
Yeah, I wrote that down
How do
too.
you rekindle that relationship, or what are you looking for out of that like out of that next interaction?
So it's very difficult if the experience was bad from our side. So, in those cases, of course, it's sometimes we don't go because, we know that we can't drastically change situations. And also depends on situations. Like it could be not an organizational problem or a person problem. It could be a situational problem that happened. And so
Mm.
we had a bad taste in our mouth. But if it is on our end, we generally go on an apologetic note. We just clearly clear the air and try to just say, yes, we own the mistake, or this was what happened, and we'd like to still want to work with you.
Mm.
So it's not like um, I feel one thing, to be honest, I've seen missing in all three countries is that we have become very afraid of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it with all respect to everyone, you know. I think even in business, there tends to be like everyone I speak to always talks about, I'm doing this great, I'm doing that great. Very rarely people say, my pipeline is dry, I'm really having problems. Can we discuss this together? You know. So we try to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
If something's not right, or if we are aware at a mistake, I will call up a old customer and say, hey, my team screwed up. I know, I apologize, but I really want to try and do something again with you. So instead of just saying, being arrogant about it,
Yeah, yeah,
we're human. I explain what happened, you know,
yeah, yeah. And there's a
and so
long spectrum between lack of vulnerability and arrogance, but there's a spectrum and how it's perceived, and like there's all kinds of room in there for
for sure,
more
yeah,
authentic
yeah, yeah.
action.
But I think, especially I think in a digital and AI age, people are missing that. You know,
Yeah.
I just feel that a lot of our conversations at points become um, not irrelevant, but because that we don't bring everything to the table, we fear, and that's everyone. We fear, okay, if we saying bad things, like I just told you, we are doing this right now, and it's coming out of some vulnerability also. Is because lately in Bangladesh we saw a pipeline took a dip, and just because we have an interim government now, there was we had a uh, like a fascist government for about 16 years. And so they were, by revolution, taken off. And then the leader, she fled the country. And so there was interim government. So during interim government periods, because you're kind of rebuilding things, economy can take a hit. And we have our elections on February 12th,
Mm.
next month. So of course the pipeline is everyone's just waiting to see.
Yeah, there's
No one's opening
uncertainty.
their
Yeah.
wallet, right? What will happen in the election? And so once immediately an elected government is on board, we are hoping that the economy will, go up again.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're just taking an extra step trying to see if we can, you know, connect with old clients and just see if it works.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
it's great. Is this where you spend the majority of your time with business development?
Yes, for me and my obviously strategy because as the CEO, in my initial days I had worked a lot hard on having a lot of like roles which I was not good at, to be honest. So there were two roles I didn't like. One was things that I didn't like but I was good at. An example would be accounting. I'm good at it but I don't like doing it. And there were things that I'm not good at and I don't like. So I would say that would be project management. If I have to, I'll do it. I'm not necessarily good at it and I don't like it. So what I did was try to delegate or create team members or train them up. And then my partner, my chief operating officer, does a great job now. And then and he basically was part of our team. and then now he's in the cap table. He's an equity shareholder now. So he looks after all the operations in Bangladesh, and so that allows me to develop business or just think about, especially with AI, where are we going to go from here? What's the pivot that we need to make? So those things.
Well, similar to us, you get to be under the hood of a few different businesses and where they're going and what they're doing. Plus, you have your own business. You mentioned your own strategy. You mentioned the directions. Like, what's your crystal ball seeing? What are the problems that you think people are going to be dealing with over the next 2 years? Anything come to mind?
I think so. Whenever I am lost, I try to look at history. you know. So even here, before the AI, there were other similar eras of big changes in the world, like when like the dot-com bubble, or then you'd say the social media, you know, uh, uh,
Phone.
exactly those. So there were different eras. What I've noticed, the trend is that each era has some winners who are the big boys. Of course, they have the big money, and they will make money and they'll still stay strong. And then you have some people who will take advantage of the situation, will create absurdly bad products and services, but will make money in the short term. And then they will weed out, because people will soon realize that it's not like whatever the claims are, are not really that good. And then you have people who will not really be able to stay with the timing, right? Like, they're the laggards, as you call them. Like, they're slow to understand technology, or to get adjusted to technology. So that will happen overall, I think. For sure, a lot of the things that we do today, and again, I can't predict this completely on my own, because uh, AI usage we have currently is completely driven by investments of other people. Meaning, you, Colby, and me, we are using a lot of AI tools at a price which is being subsidized by someone's investment. That's it. So the moment that model changes, which I don't know when, then only a few will be able to use AI to the truest sense. I'm not talking about your regular chats. I'm talking about,
Oh
uh,
yeah, I say this message. I try to bring it in layman's terms. Like, you're all being given your first dose of crack, and you've
correct.
been given it for years, and they're going to take
Sure,
away the supply and give you a price
sure.
tag.
Like, like if you
Yeah.
remember Gmail, Gmail was free, and Google Drive and everything, and then people used to flood it with everything, and then suddenly, oh my God, now I have to pay this amount for my photos,
Yeah, yeah.
this amount. The typical, this always happens. So that is concerning. But other than that, I think of course some roles will start diminishing. But I don't want to get into this, or all hell will break loose, because if you imagine, there were human calculators at some time in history. So they stopped, maybe as a role, when calculators came in. But then there were people who started using calculators and became new roles. So I think we'll see a lot of new roles that we have never even thought of that will come, hopefully. But at some point, I think the governments have to decide, and maybe we will see a universal income system at some point. I don't know about when. It could be 50 years or 100 years. But if human beings truly use the AI to the level they want to in a positive way, then of course, the work culture we have globally will slowly cease to exist. So that will dramatically change for sure. Um, what is in it for a short and medium run for us as a business? I think uh, just by saying, oh, we use AI is not enough. So as service providers or product sellers, we have to show customers how AI is truly making a difference in our services and products, or how we can use AI. So like just saying, okay, we are an agency, AI agency first. No, that's not important. Or let's say for you, if you want to go to your customer and say, we are a AI first consulting,
Yeah.
that's not
I'm afraid to even use AI in my post because I don't want to be lumped into that category. But
right.
then people don't know that we can work on it. So it's like, where's the lines?
For sure. But let's say, just an example, let's say if you record the first discovery call, and immediately during that session, you show them that this is the tool that, Aaron House has made, and this is an output I'm immediately showing. This is how we take care of you throughout the life cycle of our partnership with you. Now that makes more sense to the customer, like, because
Yeah.
you're now showing them actual usage of it. and use cases rather than just, that going on that, oh, it's a wave, let's all ride it. I think so. Fundamentally, that has to change.
Yeah, it'd be actually just as a funny experiment. We had an actual sales discovery call, and we finished the call, and then we're just like, "Hey, do you mind just sticking? I got one other thing in 5 minutes," and you share screen to the finished proposal. Just that real
Yeah,
time.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be interesting.
Makes a lot of difference. Um,
Yeah. Colby, anything?
My mind's kind of racing a little bit. Because I spend the majority of my time in business development, and sometimes, you get caught in a cycle that feels like it's not working as well as it should be or could be, and it's
sure.
always just nice to talk to other people that are kind of figuring out
Yeah.
different ways. And I'm also like it's funny you said you're in a town of 40,000 people now.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know I'm in a town of 17,000 people, and so and I love being out meeting people physically. So I essentially have to drive 2 hours ish to
Sure.
get that, and like putting a rhythm around that is definitely there's like a slightly more difficult because you got to plan quite a bit to go do that. But yeah, not having those bumping spaces in a rural place is definitely a challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm at a disadvantage now. Colby knows a bit about me. I don't know much about him. So maybe you guys can both tell me a little about Colby, what he does. Because for Levi, we have met multiple times. So,
Yeah, for sure. So I'm one of the partners, and Aaron, who you haven't met, the third partner, him and I, we started like a boutique marketing agency, content development, like invested in a bunch of video gear and all that kind of stuff. That was the first couple of years, and we got that to a decent size for a few people. But then clearly started to see the writing on the wall where our customers were very confused of the difference between a 16-year-old with an iPhone and us with $60,000 worth of camera equipment and
sure.
so on and so forth. So it felt like we were explaining the internet a lot and quality and having to fight for that,
Sure. Yeah.
justifying our existence essentially. So Aaron was in a peer group called Wallace McCain Institute, and Levi and Levi had a company called Pragmatic Solutions, and we were working together as clients on both sides.
Because you were very creative, but might not have been the best project management or detail-oriented
Yeah,
people.
I'm with you, Affan, on the project management thing. My brain doesn't work that way, nor does it want to. But we started to make that pivot where we, being in those peer groups, seeing they were in them first, like Levi and Aaron, and they like all the things that they were learning about, like what makes a business actually turn and go, and then
How similar everybody's problems were.
yeah, and how familiar everything was. Like you think you're very isolated in the things you're dealing with, and you're probably isolated, but everyone's going through the same stuff. So I ended up joining a group called Entrepreneurs Organization, which I believe is probably in Iowa. Be a great connection for you if they don't have a chapter.
Okay. Yeah. I'll see. They're in Bangladesh. I'm not part of it, but I know some of
Yeah,
my friends and
yeah.
colleagues are EO Bangladesh. Yeah.
There's a real focus on that vulnerability and real conversation too. So
Yeah, and when I got into that, I joined the accelerator program because we weren't quite at the size yet to join EO, and learned a lot about just like the four big things that make a business go around. And I started to get deeply, deeply interested in it, and a lot less interested in just purely marketing. So then it was like, how do we kind of create a business around this stuff that continues to get us excited and helping with all aspects of a business. So yeah, that's kind of really it. And before that, I had a supplement company that kind of blew up in my face at an early age. I was 23 to 26 years old, and that failed pretty hard. Learned a lot of lessons, but scaled it to a decent size. It was like 1,100 stores across the country. and just didn't really know the other disciplines to go along with running a business. And now there's like a ton of self-awareness of all the things I could have done differently, but that doesn't
Small
really,
part of the journey.
yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah, and besides that, it's the time that I'm spending is just trying to create a repeatable system that works for filling the funnel and kind of shortening the sales cycle. And also just on the strategy standpoint, that gets me excited, working with clients on strategy and kind of what makes a team work as well. We love that kind of stuff.
Well, and we really started shifting away from, like, we do technology and adoption and consulting, but a lot of it is around change management. Not everybody understands that's what they need, but that ends up being what we deliver.
Yeah.
And that's usually a lot of team culture and communication. And so it shifted a lot more to the soft skills. And I don't even like that term, but, people get it.
Yeah.
The translator between the technician and the business owner, that different language. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, it's interesting, your conversation, because where you're at, you mentioned, like, diversity side. We're kind of at that point, probably the last year or so, like more than a year, 18 months or so, we want to have different markets, either in different industries or in different regions, because, if we're doing one type of thing in one area, we're at so much risk. It's not really like a risk, we're not going to lose our homes, it's just like, it becomes more stressful and less fun, less impactful, less in general.
Sure.
So we've been working really hard to meet people in different areas of the world, but also different industries. We've talked a lot around, like, maybe there's just a second business that does something slightly different. That's like, we don't have to do everything. And we talk about engine one and engine two. That's where our heads are in right now, is what's that makeup that is the better, healthier combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, that could potentially act as feeder systems to the other things.
Sure. Yeah. One thing, again, obviously there are service businesses globally, so they'll always exist. But I find, and I'm a lazy person, I would say, so I always try to find shortcuts. So
This is the vulnerability. Yeah.
yes. So I think that from that shortcut, I think what I realized is the ultimate service business is also productizing it. Meaning, if you don't have products that will sell when you're sleeping, you will never scale to a point where you'd be comfortable. You'll always be chasing basic gray pipeline. You can have a great system for sure, 100%. And it will just become too tedious for you, meaning large teams, large payroll, and all that, right? But if you have a product of some sort, which for example, for Iron House, a product could be that a lot of your customers don't necessarily need your service immediately, but then they need to know when they need this service. So it could be a $100 small course of something like a feeder, but they then keep on buying. Like if they have these problems, this is the course they start with, right? So I'm just saying, for me also, that's the holy grail. I've failed in it for many years, but I want to ultimately go there where, because I'm a marketing agency, I can have a digital product that people will buy, and my marketing team can help me market it, basically. I think that's the shortcut.
Oh,
Well,
funny you'd mention this.
it's been in our hopper of discussing,
Well,
for sure.
we were away in Halifax on doing the export program with what group is it?
Invest Nova Scotia.
Invest Nova Scotia. And in our talks, like later in the evenings, was around exactly what you just said. It's like, what could we sell for $99 that could help, and then like keep us in there, and put them into the pipeline. They can receive emails, like something that actually helps them move their business along. Because you are so correct. There's such an importance around timing when buying our services. There's a self-awareness piece to know that maybe something is broken. Like maybe my business is doing well, but it's completely dependent on a couple of people on heroic delivery. And if we can, get in there with a lower value thing that brings them value and clarity, you're totally right. It's just what's that thing? What's that course?
I'm starting to think, like, I love the discussion, and then when it comes down to it, like, we have different lanes. There's 3 owners. Aaron is more on the strategy, although we all do it as a consulting. Colby's more on new relationships and sales. I think about it as Aaron is what are we doing 5 years from now. Colby is what are we doing next month or 3 months from now. And my role as operations, I'm like happy clients today and yesterday. And that's kind of our lanes operationally. And I'm struggling with the productizing as much as I understand the theory and I want it from a sales perspective, but then in my head is the dilution of the unique quality of our projects are mostly tailored. We get into the weeds. Where are they at? What are they invested in? What are they trying to achieve? And so part of it is like I need to work with people like Colby who are one step removed, or Aaron is 2 steps removed from. But it's a ego thing too. Like I want to make the right thing for the right person, but then it's hard to productize.
Well, actually, funny we're talking about this. So I literally just bought a course for $29 USD, and because ADD is something I've been exploring way later in life, way too late in life. Yeah, just all the things you're saying, I was like, we're brothers here. Let's talk offline and cry about it together. But the course that I bought led very quickly to a $6,000 coaching program that I'm still humming and hawing over, and like I did get value from the $29 I spent, still getting value, and I want to buy the $6,000 course. But it's just like a timing thing and priorities thing. But like I'm not going to forget them because of the results they've given me. It's just I'm living that in real time right now. I just bought it on Thursday, or started it on Thursday, and it's very interesting that they also created like a custom GPT that you can buy for another $75. So it's just like there's all these little things that are leading me to trusting them.
While also charging you.
And I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
I think that charge is just lowering. Just these are all. If you remember that marketing funnel thing. These are all soft conversions. We all know, especially for not as much as my services, but especially your services, more high ticket. And it's not just about the money. It's also owners know that if you want their services, Iron House, I have to get involved. So imagine a restaurant owner or a bar owner who already has 50 things. The moment they think, Levi and Colby will come and I need to spend so much time, it's impossible. I can't,
Yeah.
But if I say, right, but if I say that you have to answer like 6 questions and 2.5 hours with us, and then you get these 3 things, now I'm more interested. And I know these are very difficult, like, to customize this like that. But like Colby, I'll just share quickly something on the health side. So I found this gentleman, I think last year, very interesting. He travels the world. He's a nomad. So now I think last I saw him he was in Colombia. So basically he had not a small course, but something like soft, like a PDF or something. And he targeted CEOs, CXOs of a certain age who are obese or who are worried about their health, not taking care of their health, basically, physical health, not mental. And so that led to a high ticket, short packaged thing with him, which I think was one of the most expensive things I've ever, spent on myself in the last 44 years of my existence. And I did it because of the fact that the initial soft conversions allowed me, like Colby was saying, so many things that are true for me. So the same language that was being used for me. So I felt that he had this innate understanding of people like me, which was great. And because he was so focused on a small niche, and then, it was not a mind-blowing experience for me afterwards, but he gave me some tools. He showed me what to do. And if I had a lot of money, I would have continued doing with him. But at least, I was happy that I didn't have that cognitive dissonance after, like, oh shit, I spent so much money on something that's not of value. So he made sure what Levi you do, customer experience and customer success was there in terms of, I actually lost weight, or I would say 80% of what we were initially had a plan, we tried to achieve it, we did. So I know it's difficult. And like if you go and tell him, he would have also said, hey, initially that everyone has different body types and it's very difficult to bring them under one umbrella. But that's
Hmm.
the thing. If you can, then something happen. And I saw this on the agency side also. There's a guy who would ask you to answer like 30 questions, and he said that he will compare you with 500 other agencies and give you like a grading. And it did with
Yeah.
some detailed reporting, free of charge. But then, like you said, the next one was okay, you want to improve your grade to
Yeah.
from C to D or B to A, here's our consulting package, right?
Yeah.
So even that, then that was free, but still, I felt that was so much more
It's
important.
been the something we've literally never done. It be like so. Oh my gosh, I'm saying this out loud. It seems so elementary and so simple, but like at this,
Cobbler's kids have no shoes.
yeah,
It's a real
like
thing.
like we're like I even think of myself like if Iron House was selling to me,
Never get through.
yeah, it would just like because there's kind of that initial jump that you need to take,
Sure.
and we've been just kind of you know well cobbler's shoes, yeah, like it's the cobbler's kids shoes. It's just so true. My gosh, what a timely conversation. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. And then lately, I think I don't know if you've noticed in LinkedIn also, some people are really, showing secrets out. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. Like literally, they'll show you steps and all. But if you notice, it's always part of the steps, part of the process. And they know in their heart that you can copy Levi's templates, but you can't copy his brain. So
Oh, yeah.
they're
I
very,
don't. I believe ideas are pretty much worthless. I would give all the exact language of our systems and how we do things, but it's
sure.
execution that
Correct. Yeah.
is the thing.
So, but it really, when people start saying, oh, there is some interesting difference as to how they
Yeah.
work, right? Then, like, for example, out of the blue, Colby, you're saying about business development, right? Now, let's say I was trying to sell you a software, right? And instead of telling you, oh, my software this does, the great, if I start talking about your pain point, right? Like, okay, like for example, one of the biggest problems I think salespeople have now, or business development people have now, is how can you have at scale conversations with your customer? And then when we talk about custom, it's not about, oh, okay, use AI to just break out one line of customization from their profile or from their website. That's not customization. That's very easy. What's about something more, right? Like, okay, you want to sell SEO service to a company. Can I create custom reports for hundreds of companies at scale? Now that's something someone will be interested because you're not just talking about oh, just one small thing in SEO. You're talking about even your subject line is Iron House. You're sending an email to Iron House, and you're talking about their competition. Like, hey, Colby is doing this, Levi. What about you? Now you're very much interested because Colby is your competition, right?
Yeah.
So what we have been trying is instead of just trying to create products, we're trying to solve our own problems. So right now, one of our product is actually sales issue, this sales thing. Can we connect, web tools, SEO tools to create something for a sales team where they can create reports and things at scale? So instead of manually doing all of this, and which was almost impossible before, of course there is AI now, but if they can create that and then outreach and all of it done in one service, which can be connected to, let's say, Apollo for leads, instantly for sending out the emails, but from one place. I told my team, if you can build this properly, there are so many companies in the world, just not agencies, who will be very interested because you can just change the basics, then this becomes a good sales tool for them,
Yeah.
right? So um, I
Yeah.
don't know if you'll be able to make it. We're trying. Let's see.
But even the core premise of like solving our own problems and seeing how to benefit those, like we do treat our company as a bit of a living lab of like exploring things that maybe we don't necessarily need, but even if it doesn't work, we'll be able to be better at what we do.
Sure.
But sometimes you see, yeah, it's great. Um, yeah. Now I
You
want to go
both
to
are
my
thinking quite a bit.
I am
I'm
thinking.
sorry.
No, you do. You have I mean, I think it's just funny timing that we've been talking about this at length over the past week and a half.
Hmm.
And I do want to like a quick kind of tangential kind of question.
Sure.
How has kind of health played a role in your life? Like, I would imagine you are sitting at a desk like us quite a bit, and I'm sure that
Hmm.
the busyness of things can kind of get out of hand. Was there like it sounded like there might have been a little bit of a tipping point when you hired that coach. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, so actually the tipping point was before. So in 2017, I weighted my worst. Like I was at such a bad shape when I came to the US for the first time, I think around that time. So then I went back, and the US, for different reasons, I was mostly having vegetables, which I don't like, and a little bit of fish, again, which I don't like. So then I went to Bangladesh in 2018. For 10 months, I was on a pescatarian diet. And this was completely by me. I didn't go to anyone's for help. I was just eating fish and veg and no meat for 10 months.
So
And
hey,
then I
you don't like
and I
either of those things.
and I did some workout also, and I lost 36 kgs. I don't know how much that is in pounds. Yeah,
36.
80, 85?
kilograms.
Yeah, almost 90
Yeah,
pounds.
Yeah.
yeah, in 18 months. So that was not the tipping point. When I hired this gentleman, it was when I was slowly going back. So I thought, no, I can't go back to that. I needed some help. So I would say I'm somewhere in the middle now, from my lowest weight and my highest weight. And obviously, I'm trying to go back to my lowest weight and in the last 5 years, 10 years. It's difficult, like you said. So now it's more about trying to play sports if I can. I feel that's a secret also. People forget that if you don't like gym and doing other things, if you like one sport, and if you can do it regularly, I think if you can stick to it, I think that's great. Um, Standing desk, trying to use it. I didn't have a standing desk before, only recently purchased. So trying to use it from time to time a little, just, see if that helps. And steps. So I try to count steps as much as I can, try to move at least. With winter, obviously gets difficult, but
Yeah.
still trying. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I'm trying to do is I've got a pair of weights beside my desk and then a little
right.
like squat
Hmm.
station over here as well. So I've been,
Yeah,
any chance I get, like even just if a meeting ends, I'll just get up and do 10, 15 squats and lift some weights and then sit back
yeah.
down.
And, and I'll share something grim today because you brought it, because it's very important for men. I think what has been happening, I don't know about you guys' network, but at least in my network, especially in Bangladesh, especially post-COVID, a lot of people in their early 40s and mid 30s are dying. We didn't see this before. And I think a lot of it has to do with mental stress. It has to do with, social media taking such a big part of their lives that they forget that, that time where they were actually spending for health reasons maybe before is now reels, right? So a major thing has changed in lives, and a lot of people don't have control over it also. So I think I'm not saying these are all connected. These are not necessarily these are post COVID, complications also, but it's a rising thing that has been happening.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how much of it is in Canada or in the US, but especially in Bangladesh, it's happening, and we are quite worried about it. One of my senior friends from my university, an alum, he actually wrote something last week in his Facebook about it. Like he literally counted how many of his friends, and he's 44, and his junior brothers and relatives or friends have passed away in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
And most of these deaths are sudden. I'm not talking about any known ailments. Suddenly at night, a 30-year-old, people who has been going to gyms maybe perhaps just passing out. So I think especially for men's mental health, we need to be more vocal about it. and professionals also. I think a lot of people, they hide behind, well, I'm busy. Everything is busy in life, but perhaps we need to, speak about it and share
Mhm.
with friends and professionally, and try to see what others are doing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Yeah, and
important,
the
I
and
think.
the seeing what others are doing, like we're stating the obvious. We're just constantly comparing ourselves to whatever people are portraying online, and
Yeah.
even if you know that's the case, it's still creeping in the back of your head of like, oh, I'm never doing enough. I'm never, I, the 4 a.m. workout crowd. It's just like it's always on my feed, and I that's great. You keep doing it. I just like I don't know to what point. I think a lot of people get confused about like what does winning or success look like for them individually because they're just constantly being bombarded with who they're
yeah.
comparing themselves to.
Sure.
And I'm aware of
Well,
that, and it still happens.
I was telling Colby, so last like July through November, I was kind of like, I got the Aura ring, I got the calorie counter, I got the workout app, I got the smart scale. I was like, did a really geeky like life change over a good chunk of time, and I'm still doing a lot of it, but now I'm just like, well, that I'm sure it's sustainable, but I don't really want to have that level of control.
Mm.
So and I was following is like, lose weight, be more fit or whatever, but like I'm still not sure like what my ongoing sustainable goal is. Like what, because I don't care that I have big muscles or that I'm super lean and 10% body fat, but I don't have a replacement goal. I have no way to define like what is my. So it just having the conversation helps, like having it more and more often.
Yeah, I think there is one uniform thing people can do actually. The American Heart Association has 150 like minutes per week that you have to have, like, take your heart level up to a certain extent, and you can actually achieve it with walking also to an extent, right? So that 150 minutes, I think if most people did it, and then there are obviously things that are beyond your control, like genes, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you
And in 5 years, everybody will just take a pill when they want to not be overweight, and the whole world will be different.
you are hoping for that on nanites coming, like, you take
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
your
First drugs
nanites
being
and
nanites, and it's
sure.
just be a universal income and universal fat loss prescription. And the
Of
world will be
course.
different.
Already you see the Ozempics of the world, like
Yeah.
the entire world is losing weight, and I'm always waiting for God knows what.
I was waiting. I can't remember who the comedian was. It was like, if I had the money, I'd just walk by and stick my aunt who I'm worried about her health, and she wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah, yeah. I forget who that was too, but I saw that clip.
uh, Yeah, I want to segue this because we talk about this both. Like Colby's, has a history as a coach in health, and I'm earlier in that journey. But I'm a deeply passionate food guy, so that's where my bridge is
Sure.
food. I was wondering if you have any perspective on how do you bring this to employee culture. We have an entirely virtual work from anywhere crowd.
Yeah.
All of our people sit at desks. We've done some like fitness competitions internally. We've done some like life boundaries and trying to make sure people aren't overworking too much. But have you learned anything around working? Like you must have a lot of people working virtually, different regions. Anything you brought to your team or your company culture?
So for us, it's easier because we have everyone almost in one office, so
Okay.
that it's not remote. I'm remote, but not for them. So two things I think lately. One is we are trying to get regular. There was a session even last month where a mental health specialist came and spoke about meditation and all. So I think we'll try keep doing that. And not just this was not just a speech session. They actually came and did, like, to
Hmm.
train people how to do it. And then we have started doing within the office like a football, tournament that they are, so competitively they are playing on a regular basis now. I think the problem with getting culture is if you make things a law, a system, especially with this kind of things, it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
it has to be something gamified, I feel. So then everyone's interested. Okay, let's do things. So it's difficult, but we'll try to keep bringing things like this, which are good for team building as well as their health.
Hmm.
and wellness. Plus, I think we did few things before. So in Bangladesh, food is like lunches are okay, and even that companies don't necessarily provide always. It's generally what happens is either partially subsidized by the company, or it's like fully subsidized by employees. So the employer arranges for it, but the employees pay for it. So no subsidy from the company. What we have done, one of the health reasons, like I have actually seen my team members eat shit in the morning from roadside stalls and all. So something came to my mind. I said, why don't I? And like Levi told you, I was in the food and beverage business, right? So I understood food a little. So what we did very early, I think back in 2016, our second year, is that we've been providing 3 times food which is cooked at the office, fresh every day. So morning breakfast, and then there is lunch, and then there is some snacks. The evening snacks we can't completely make ourselves. Sometimes we have to buy, but still. So at least on the food side, we are trying to make it. We're not making salads, but at least it's freshly cooked. It's not like outside food, which there is no control of
Yeah, it
what's
makes a huge difference. Yeah.
correct. And because it's cooked inside, like if employees want to know where the things are coming from, or speak to the person who's cooking, or see how it's been done, and the same food is being eaten by the same people who's cooking also, so there is some check and balance. So
Yeah.
that's his work for us a bit. I think it's one of our biggest parts because it's not very common in Bangladesh also, like
Yeah.
employees having food and all. But again, as I said, it's limited and I want to do more. So that's my failure. I've not been able to do more about this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Show don't tell comes to mind. Like there's also some of that. Like you're also personally doing it. I don't know if you're sharing. Like I make a point of sometimes sharing a little bit about what I'm doing. I'm on the pursuit of my perfect protein macro egg bite recipe. Team's probably sick and tired of getting my food photos.
They're
I'm
good.
on batch 23 or 24.
I probably should have mentioned I'm a health coach. That's what I studied, and
Interesting.
like holistic nutrition and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a meeting with you about
Yeah,
this.
soft conversion is $29.99.
yeah, 29
Sure.
for the next 32 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I kind of lived in that space, and like when I was selling that health product, I was like really really into it, and yeah, it's funny now. Like it's funny, the more I surround myself with that type of person as well, it's just all of a sudden you're more fit. It's just the way, like for me, that's just seems to be the way it goes. And maybe, there is a positive side to ego as well. There's a reason why we have it. And, when you go exercise in a busy gym, for some people, they can use that as fuel to perform. And so just kind of knowing yourself has been helpful. Yeah,
Excellent.
that's... Yeah, I mean, time flies, so it's like you gotta stay consistent and get on it now, right? Like it's speaking to somebody that has a bit of time blindness. Those long-term outcomes of like, oh, I want to be able to, if I have grandkids, want to be able to get down and lift up my grandkids and get on the floor with them and stuff. It's like, but that's so far away. Why should I do anything about it now?
Yeah, but time flies for sure. No, I think, and if you look at it, I think there's no secret in business or health. It's all about consistency. You'd see successful people, and the problem is, like you said, we are all about successful people in reels, and but if you look at really successful people, if you just take the
The
outliers
20-year
out,
overnight success.
right? But right, like if you take the outliers out, like a lot of people always say Steve Jobs example. How many Steve Jobs are there in the world, like in the last 100 years? So I'm just saying, if you take that 0.00001% out, if you look at like the average successful entrepreneur, you'd see there is no secret. It's just that they have been consistent and they have persevered. Like they have kept on doing things. They have not, there have been bad days, but those bad days have not let them,
Yeah.
and I see the
I've
same
seen
thing in health also.
consistency and I've seen good luck happen. I've rarely seen you know, ongoing magic pills. there's no magic solutions for sure.
But my counter argument to you is that good luck actually is like karma. It's supposed to happen if you are consistent. Like, you know what, like, it only the doors will open when you reach that level. It's like, if you look at the world as a game, like imagine a game. If
Yeah.
you are sitting in one place, you'll not get that next gun or the next,
Yeah.
hero potent option, something, right? You have to go to
Sure.
the particular gate and then go in. So I think the consistent people keep trying, and so then they get those luck, what we call luck, right?
In
So
the I'm gonna misquote, but I think it's Jim Collins. But like, I really like the concept of return on luck, of like building and being in a position to take advantage of things when they happen. So like, be consistent and disciplined with the way you manage money, and having that contingency and your people and your culture, and be ready to take advantage of things when they come up. And health, I think, falls very much into that. Like, be in a place where you have energy and
yeah,
discipline, and yeah.
and it's very difficult.
That used to drive me crazy when people would say that I was lucky in some of the situations that I got in, and it's like, oh, look, behind closed doors situation. I can see how it might be perceived that way, of like some of the situations that I've just personally got myself in, and it's like all the stuff in the background is just, you might as well not even have the conversation because it's not what they want to hear. But like, it
Yeah.
is, yeah,
But find people you can have that conversation with.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
it's difficult, but yes, that's if you can have that who understand. And then, of course, if you don't have to make everyone happy. If there are some people who is your tribe, who understand you, and
Yeah.
understand that there is some hard work behind it also. The moment you said your supplements were going to 1,100 stores, I knew that moment it was not luck. You did something great. I mean, even you're not selling focus. That's people were interested to buy it. So it must have been something good, you know.
Yeah,
Whether it worked or not, that's a
Yeah.
different story. Not everything. And again, like I said, a failure is always just a part of our journey. Your
yeah,
hero's journey has to be failure. If you are successful, you'd be so bored to death, like you'd not have the urge to go to the next level because I'm already at the top,
yeah,
right? So failures humble us. They bring you to that level again, so that you feel, okay, I need something else to go up to. And I think this is predominantly one of the biggest problems of human. It's our strength and weakness. If we were not so like always going for the next thing, then people would have been in caves now. There would be no incentive for human beings to go for the next thing. But I think the same thing is a double-edged sword. It also makes us unhappy
yeah,
because whatever we have today, we are not content with it because we feel that nagging thing in our mind. Can I do something more? Can I
Yeah.
become a little bit more richer? Or can I achieve a little bit more muscles in my body or something?
I
Yeah,
think that's also the
so
problem with, like, when you move and live in a different country, which all of us have.
sure.
You're always thinking in the back of your head, well, it could be better somewhere else, and it probably is better somewhere else, and like that I'm most of the time I'm fine, but it's like when that starts to, it does creep in enough that it's a problem where you're like, oh, I could be living in Florida right now and whatever, living in South
Sure.
Africa, wherever it might be. And
Yeah.
it's like when you see other options and how other things are happening in the world, you're like,
Yeah.
we have so many options, which I think makes us unhappy sometimes, a lot of the time.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah.
We talked last year. I can't remember where it came up, but the like allowing contentment and ambition to live at the same time, without one overcoming the other.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is
Very difficult. Very
Yeah, yeah.
tricky. Yeah. And
Well,
and
almost
I've
nothing we talk about on this podcast has any answers. It's just
Yeah, it's like
any conversation that has like, well, here's the right answer. Like, that's no fun.
yeah, it's like
yeah.
here's the choice that you've made, and then now we have to deal with it. It's essentially every day.
Yeah, 100%. And look, like for example, I mean, once I had moved, a lot of people said my business will die, and it has happened before, because a Bangladeshi culture, being in person is very important, right?
Hmm.
But my counter argument to them is that now that I have been here and I could have grown this, the white label or the wholesale business that I call it, it really helped the company survive and thrive.
Hmm.
So, again, it could have gone anyway, right? So that's where maybe the luck comes in, perhaps having kind people around you who shower you with kindness, and then you can take help from that kindness and go to the next level. So yeah, that's there. But like, what were the chances I met Bernie in the first
Yeah, yeah.
networking meeting?
Yeah.
You know?
Bernie's for those might be listening, if they made it this far, Bernie is just a professional connector, from my understanding. Like that's what he
Yep.
does.
Yeah.
That's who
Yep.
made our connection.
Yes.
It was great. The yeah, I'm getting to the point. We've covered a lot of ground. I'm worried about like just diluting the impact of our conversation and starting so many. We get to the point where like I have other things I can mention, but they're so much lighter than some of the like really good pieces we've chatted
Yeah,
about.
yeah, I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
is there anything that when you're sitting here you'd like to ask us, or any core message that our audience are all going to be people like us, really, or who want to be like us, aspiring entrepreneurs or leaders?
Right.
Anything come to mind?
So I think, especially for your business, like we were discussing this also, I just want to flesh this out a little bit. I mean, like you said, it's not very intuitive for owners to understand, have that self-awareness that my business is bleeding money. And sometimes, like you were saying that day, it's a client who's not even bleeding money; they're making money. So it's very difficult to understand that I need help at this stage. Especially, let's assume it's not bleeding money, like a
Yeah,
business is
it's
actually
not
doing
urgent
well.
yet. It's important.
Correct. But so there must be some symptoms around it. And so, have you thought of, I don't know, maybe there is some way of, and that could also become like, lead generator for you, some way of training or teaching people around these things? Like, when do I know I need Iron House help? You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the only question I have. Actually, I'm just curious about it. Like, have you guys thought about it, or you know?
Hey, yeah, and I'd love to give you this nice answer. I think we've been working a long while on what our value proposition, and I think it's because we don't have any key focused industry or size of company, because a lot of our businesses come through referral and introduction, and so we're
Sure.
pretty broad. I think that to be honest, we do a lot of technology adoption. Where we've come down to is we do some training on team and culture in organizations,
Mhm.
and that's where I think the most clear symptoms are. Like you're gonna like we do it. It's a whole mishmash of like our own stuff, but then it's got like 5 dysfunctions from Pat Lencioni. It's got disc analysis. It's got third alternatives. It's got relationship bank. It's got crucial conversations, and it's a workshop and training that we developed so that we could work with a team better in doing change within organizations, and that's become kind of our. Which it's funny because people see us as the process technology company, and our lead in is like, let's talk about your humans.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so but the difference is that most people, like, there's no immediate measurable return on those things, so they have to have that self-awareness. Like, to be honest, I'm talking out loud because we've struggled with it the more we've tried to go out to new markets, but we want to go to new markets. People
Okay.
who know us and what we do locally, we don't have the same struggle. But like when we go to Ontario or we go to the states, and we're like, what do we do and why would you buy us? It's had to reframe, and we've tried a bunch of positionings for sure.
So here's my challenge to you as we end this discussion today. As you go to new markets, think of a session, like a day session, where you can actually have some sneak peek into how you guys work. It's kind of like a training for owners who can come, understand, but obviously you are talking about some unique problem there. Like, it has to be a theme. Like, if people are bleeding money in their business, maybe you are talking about multiple industries, but something. I think that would be like some sort of a roadshow kind of a thing. It can be paid, because if it's free, people will not be interested, like, in the event itself. So there has to be some money, and also that will add as a qualifier for you. Like, if someone's not willing to pay a few $100s for the whole day, then they'll not pay you X amount. So that's the challenge. Like, can you guys come up with something like that? Would be interesting to hear.
So it's
Amen.
funny. I'm actually looking. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking up. So Colby and I just brainstormed last week on creating a learning day we could do in different regions as a way to start that. I want to just read it. I might not be able to find I had a nice pithy. No, I'm not going to find it. So the idea is to have a learning day / little mini like audit of your company, individualized audit, but a learning day, bringing those in around where in your company is leadership compromised. Oh, how do I get this, Colby? I got this. I'll work through it here.
Where is leadership compensating?
For lack of systems.
Yeah.
And so it's a very clear, like, where is leaders compensating for lack of structure, systems, or investment? So where is it, do you have an owner, a manager, a key executive who is doing something and taking their top tier capacity to do something that could be done easier, faster, delegated, automated? With the lens of us, like, that is a much more concrete type of assessment than we normally do in a company. But, the math makes sense. 5 hours a week, that's a realistic thing. I don't know any business owner I haven't met that isn't jumping in to do something that could have been better delegated, systemized, or automated. So that's kind of one way to look at, or just strictly team culture. It's a good challenge. Hold me accountable. We'll do 2.0.
Yeah. We'll finish because we just kind of started this last week. So how about we follow up with you and see what you think?
Well, let's go to Iowa. I mean, really, let's find a boardroom.
Done.
I've never been to Iowa. Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for today, Affan. This is the beginning of a long relationship. We'll put us, maybe we will work together. That's exciting. But let's also consider ourselves in that first tier. That's good. I've been putting off starting pickleball for a long time because my mother is she's like the cult leader of the local pickleball association. And so I've been teasing her that that's just not my thing, but feels like I might have to get that in for networking reasons. But, okay.
This episode of Built to Last is brought to you by Ironhouse Pro, your behind-the-scenes partner in building organizations designed to thrive. We specialize in solving the big challenges, the small annoyances, and everything in between. So while you're out there dreaming big, we're here making sure your systems, processes, and people are ready for tomorrow. Ironhouse Pro, driven to create lasting organizations. Learn more at ironhousepro.com.